Hello, Second Step community. My name is Matt Pearsall. I'm the community manager from Committee for Children, and I'm excited to bring you our next SEL Second Step Community Spotlight. And I'm really excited to be able to have a chance to sit down with Roz Green, who is one of our Second Step champions in Australia. Roz, I was wondering if you could start off just by telling us a little bit about you and what your role is in supporting kids and how you got started with Second Step.
Sure. So I'm a school guidance officer. So we call them guidance officers in Australia, or sometimes it's school psychologists. In the state I live in, I'm living in Brisbane, we're called guidance officers, and I work in a state school of about 900 and something kids. And we go from prep, so about 4-year-old, 5-year-olds, up to 11, 12-year-olds. We don't have middle school usually in Australia. We go primary school and then high school. So I'm a primary school guidance officer, and I've been a primary school guidance officer for too many years, about 20. I just love the job. You think about it being 20 years, but the job's changed quite a lot in that time, and it's never boring. There's always something new. There's always a new problem that I've never confronted before, new situation. So I've tried other admin roles, like deputy principal, and just haven't found them quite as fulfilling. So I'm a long-termer in the role, and the stuff I really love to do is the proactive stuff, because there's one of me and there's 920, 30 children, and probably about 400 families. So the thing I love is the tier one, the proactive work, because that's where I can have the most influence. So that's the stuff that's been really exciting for me in the last 2 to 3 years, because I found Second Step. I did not know about Second Step until about 3 years ago, and I've been on this track a long time, wanting to promote tier one programs in schools, and just finding there wasn't a really great comprehensive program that a school could adopt from prep year to year 6. So to find Second Step has been so exciting, because it just provides that comprehensive program with all the vocabulary and the terminology and the concepts that flow through the program from prep to 6. It's really exciting to think what could happen if we continue to teach this consistently year after year after year at this school. So it's been a really great development for my career in the last 3 years, because being in it for 20 years, you can get a little bit stale. But Second Step's really kind of revived my, I guess, passion for the job that I have, because I really feel that, I can make a bigger difference, a bigger effect on the school community through Second Step. I still continue to work a lot in tier 3 as well. I tend to do mostly tier 1 through Second Step and tier 3. But yeah, it's been an exciting journey finding Second Step and just being able to roll it out in our school.
That's great. It's really great. I'm hearing that.
Yeah.
Kind of thinking back on as you've been implementing Second Step, what is something that you're particularly excited about the work that you and your colleagues are doing with your students, or something you've seen in your students themselves that's gotten you really excited, that you're excited to share with the rest of us?
Yeah. So look, we've only been whole school implementation for the last 18 months. And probably the last 6 to 8 months with COVID hitting, it's really turned a lot of things on its head. So our school has struggled this year. We had we're a lot luckier, I think, than many people in the world or many countries. I think we'd lost 5 weeks of school all up. So that was a period where we closed down the school and it was only staff here. So we opted not to do the online presentation. We just felt that teachers had enough to do just focusing on literacy and numeracy, going online with that. So we had quite a gap there. It's been a stressful time, because teachers have had to come to terms with a lot really quickly. And I think we're about just over halfway through our year, almost 3/4 through our school year now, and we're tired. We're really tired. Our staff is flagging. So this year we've kind of just muddled along a little bit with Second Step, with the idea that we'll get it back up on board, hopefully better and stronger next year. But last year and the year before, the first year, we just did an expression of interest of staff who wanted to come on board, and that was great because that meant we got the most keen staff first to trial it. And we did a 12-month trial, and those teachers loved it. So then their love of it and their enthusiasm then started to flow through the rest of the staff. So we put out at the end of 2018 to staff for another round of buy-in for the program. And what happened, Matt, is that we got a 99% buy-in.
Oh, wow.
So we were thrilled. So we went from like a small little group. We've got about a staff of 40 teachers. So we went from a little group of about 7 or 8 staff to the rest of the staff buying in. So last year was our big, whole school implementation. And it was exciting. That year was really exciting. And I think this year would have been exciting except, for world events and what's happened. So it was an exciting year. What I saw fairly quickly is the kids really taking on the concepts. And so when I was working with them one-to-one, I was able to talk to them using the language, using the concepts, and they were like, oh, yeah. Where previously, if I wanted to talk about let's be assertive and what can we do to be assertive in this situation, so if they were having like a social conflict and I said, well, okay, what can we do to be assertive to tell this person how, how you feel and what you would like to happen. Well, that stuff I wasn't having to teach anymore because the teachers were teaching that, and I would just be saying, so you understand when I say what it means to be assertive, and they'd go, oh, yeah. And so it was great. It meant that the stuff that was happening in Tier 1 was flying over into my Tier 3 work. So that's some of the exciting things that we saw. We saw parents really excited about it, responding well to the home links.
How are you reaching out to families?
So a lot of the teachers send some of our teachers. We've left it up to them how they want to do it. Some teachers have created like a second step book that goes home, and then there's worksheets and that. Other people send it home and allow people to buy in. But we're trying to do a real wraparound service here so that parents feel supported. Students feel supported, staff feel supported, and I think second step's a really key part of that. We've got the same common language. And so what I'm looking at now is actually developing a bit of a parent program, addressing anxiety. We've got quite an issue with anxiety here. In our school community, not so much trauma, more anxiety around performance, grades, just general anxiety about life and now everything that's happened. I think that's really peaked it all. So I'm working with a couple of colleagues actually to develop a program for parents on how to support your child with anxiety, and hoping to bring in the second step concepts through that as well. So
wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, so it's really trying to interweave it, I suppose, through the whole community. Did that
really, yeah, it did. I think it's really cool. Is there something I think that move from just a few teachers to having almost all of your staff engaging with it is really it's really exciting to hear. It's really kind of a powerful statement. Have you gotten feedback from your colleagues about what it is about the program that's really making it so appealing at the classroom level?
Yeah, I think the biggest, so when we first started on this journey to find an SEL program, I did a lot of research. There's actually a lot out there. I didn't realise at the time how much was out there. And so we actually have a website in Australia, which I'm not sure if it's still going. It's called Kids Matter, which is our national mental health framework.
It is. I know it. It's still there. It's a great resource. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's now become BU, so it's changed name. But there's actually you've seen the resource where they compare SEL programs, right? So I went through that and went, wow, there's so many programs I didn't realise. But Second Step was the one that stood out the most for me because originally I was a classroom teacher, so I do very much understand what it is like to teach a classroom day to day. And I knew that if we were going to get maximum buy-in and longevity with this program, it had to be teacher friendly. So it had to be easy for teachers to pick up and use without a lot of extra preparation and work. And so Second Step really stood out in that way. That was, such a big winner. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that teachers have really appreciated is the resourcing. You know, the resources are just all there. They're there at their fingertips. It's online. There's really no big obstacles for a teacher picking up and using it. And it's scripted. They don't have to come up with stuff on their own. And that's great because you've got a wide range of teachers, some who are really new to the idea of emotional intelligence and social emotional learning. And then you've got teachers who are more familiar with it through their own reading or through their own development. So it's just great for the whole range of teachers out there who are, you know, at varying degrees of comfortableness and I guess varying degrees of knowledge and understanding. Doesn't matter. Second step, you can just pick it up and run with it. Doesn't matter if you're really experienced or you're not. It's there. And the kids like it.
Yeah.
The kids enjoy it. The lower school teachers particularly, we don't sing much in schools anymore. We're very serious in schools, unfortunately, now. So, you know, second step brings a bit of fun. I don't know what it's like in America, but we've got a curriculum that, you know, it's pretty heavy duty. You know, we've got to get through the work. And I think in some ways we've lost a little bit of that time to sing and be a bit creative. We haven't quite got the time for that anymore. And second step brings that back a bit into the classroom.
That's really neat. I really hadn't thought of it that way before. That's a really neat way to kind of think about the value of the program.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of people right now who are kind of where you were a couple of years ago that are just starting to explore social emotional learning or just starting to implement programs implement second step in their schools or their districts. I'm wondering if you have any advice or words of wisdom for somebody who's kind of where you were a couple of years ago. What's something that you learned down the road that you wish you knew when you first started?
Yeah. I don't know if I've got much to say in terms of what I wish I knew. I know that I was extremely fortunate when I landed in this school. I've only been in this school since 2016, and by 20s I was part-time here, 0.5, and then the principal increased my time to full-time. So I'm actually full-time in the school, which is an incredible situation to be in because I can really get involved in the day-to-day stuff in the school and the tier 1 programs. So I was very fortunate when I walked into the school because the school was just starting on their mental health framework journey with Kids Matter. So one component in Kids Matter is social emotional learning. And so I went and spoke to the principal just to see where he was at with social emotional learning. I'd been a big proponent of it for many years prior to finding second step even. So I went to him to see if he also shared a vision for a whole school program, or whether it was kind of just, you know, just tick a box and move on. You know, we kind of do this stuff anyway in everyday classroom. But no, I was really pleased to find that he was thinking the same as me, that we needed a whole school program. So I think finding out that the person at the top was going to be behind this, it's huge. So then it was like, okay, that the person at the top is behind me, and he said to me, he gave me a lot of room to lead. So he said, go for it, Ros. And I think he had built a lot of trust with me quite quickly. So that's when I went exploring options. But we also, as part of the Kids Matter journey, we surveyed staff. And the survey, it was a survey devised not by us but by Kids Matter. And the survey was asking for teacher attitudes towards social emotional learning and mental health. And that gave us a really good understanding of where the teachers were at.
It's a great idea.
Yes, I think it's essential, you know, Matt. I think it's really important to gauge where are the teachers in this. If you ride ahead of them and they're not behind you, then it's going to fail. And the risk of failing is that you may not be able to pick them up for a second round. So it's really important that you have at least part of your staff, or you've identified staff who are ready to go with this. So what we found when we did the staff survey is that most teachers felt that teaching social emotional learning was their job, and that it was important, and that the school needed a program. So I had between 80 to 90% of the staff indicating that they were on board for this and that they've been waiting for this to happen. So I think it's important, I guess, for American people to know that I think you guys are further down the SEL track than we are in Australia. So in our documents, in our strategic documents, we talk about social emotional learning, but it's not actually, I think I pick up from what I read on Second Step and other websites that it's mandated, I think, in America. I think at district level.
Yeah, depends. It's all like many things in America. It varies from place to place. Yeah.
Okay. We're not at any stage. We talk about the importance of SEL, but we're not quite yet, I guess, enforcing or putting it as one of the school's indicators that they're following the department direction. So I'm still waiting for that to happen. But in the meanwhile, I'm working in my little patch, and I know the teachers are on board. So I really liked what we did first, which was we put it out to staff who would be interested in trialing Second Step. So it was actually that was the idea of the principal, and it was actually very wise. So instead of going, okay, anyone who wants to do it, we'll buy it all and we'll sign you up. What we did was say, write an expression of interest, and we asked them whether they would write to a couple of questions. One of them was, why do you feel SEL is important? How would you embed SEL in your classroom? They were the two main questions, I think, and we basically chose staff according to how they answered that. So it was like half a page.
That's such an interesting idea to like actually ask the staff to interview essentially or apply for the to be it. That's a really interesting idea and a great way to frame it as you're rolling it out for that first year. That's really neat.
And I think it really sorted out who was prepared to put pen to paper.
Yeah.
Type it up. Because what I actually did was I got Jenny Williams. I'm not sure you would know Jenny.
I know her.
Yeah. So she's our positive pieces coordinator, her and Steph. And so I actually asked Jenny if she would come
and for those of you watching at home, Positive Pieces is our partner in Australia for Second Step. So they are the folks that are bringing Second Step to Australia.
So Jenny came out and spoke to our staff and did a presentation on SEL. And so from that, the room was abuzz, after Jenny's presentation. And so we said, okay, the room was abuzz. It was the start of a school year. We said, this is what we'd like. If you are keen, would you please write an expression of interest answering 2 or 3 questions, about half a page each. So we got the people who were not just excited, but were excited and were prepared to actually, give it a go. So I felt we got the keen people, the keen and committed people, and we formed what we called a PLC with that group, which is in Australian terms a professional learning community. So that was our professional learning community, and our question was, is Second Step the right SEL program for our school? And so all year that group implemented the program in their classrooms, and then we'd meet regularly to discuss how it was going and to keep answering the question, is Second Step the best program for our school? And by the end of the year, we had decided as a group that it was definitely the best program for our school. And then, as I said to you before, Matt, we threw the net out further. I went to planning meetings. I sat in planning meetings with every year level and just said, here are the resources. This is the feedback we've got. Here's your chance to buy in this year for next year, if that's what you'd like to do. And then I said, let me know if you would like to be part of the next wave or the next stage of implementation. And that's when I got the 99% buy-in. So
great.
That was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we weren't set up to fail. We were set up to succeed with that. And so the challenge now, I guess, is to get through this period of time where education has become more challenging, and I guess get back a little bit more on track with Second Step.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm personally excited because there's some new stuff I took away. I never really thought about doing an implementation the way you did, and I think I can speak on behalf of everybody in the community to say thank you so much for taking your time to share your experiences and help us all learn a little bit more about how to do second steps.